Welcome to Visualize, the podcast where collaboration fuels change. I'm your host, Chris Baker, and each week we'll explore incredible connections between nonprofits, businesses, and the community. This is a space where we highlight inspiring partnerships, uncover strategies for creating meaningful impact, and share stories that show how working together can make all the difference. Whether you're a nonprofit leader, a business owner, or someone just passionate about building connections, this podcast is for you. Welcome back to Visual Eyes, where we talk about collaboration for helping nonprofits succeed. And so today we have Rachel Sherman from TSS Photography here in Fort Lauderdale, because I know there's multiple branches.
We're a franchise, so we have the South Florida area.
So you have the South Florida area. So Rachel, tell us a little bit about you and your company.
So we are TSS Photography, locally owned and operated the entire South Florida area, and we service volume photography. So we do anything from youth sports, schools, special events, corporate headshots, anything with volume.
So when you say volume, like, is there a certain number you're looking for? Like, what's an ideal?
Really, we say anything from, 30 people to 30,000 people. We've done huge events that have 20, 30,000 people. We could do a small league or a small preschool or daycare that has 30, 35 students.
Awesome.
We're just not your individual photographer. We don't really do any individually single family appointment only type things. So we're doing anything that's a large volume. We used to be just volume photography, which would just be schools and sports.
Mm-hmm.
But during and after COVID, we expanded into the events, the corporate headshots, the parties, anything that, because there was no school and sports during a certain time, we had to think outside the box and realized we've been missing out on a lot of stuff over while we weren't doing that. So we were able to expand our footprint and in case grow our business.
One of the spaces, and the reason that you're actually on the show, is because you've actually been working with a lot of nonprofits, working at a lot of events. Tell us a little bit more about that.
So our event photography is unique in where we go to an event and everyone gets to benefit. The host who hires us gets a full link of all the images afterwards. That's the first benefit. Second benefit is you could custom brand it with a banner. So if there's a picture sponsor or a company that they want to have in the spotlight, or the name of the organization, just any of the nonprofits, if they want just their logo, the name of their event, that's branded on all the pictures that are sent to the participants through facial recognition during the actual event. So it works as almost like a party favor to the attendees. And the bonus is the host also gets a copy of all the images, and they get a copy of the images with and without the picture banner. So they're able to use them for publications and everything.
So, but the people at the event, they get it with the banner. So it's all branded.
Correct.
And they get it instantaneously.
Correct.
Yeah. And then the nonprofit or the event person holding the event actually gets both sides. Okay, cool. Right. Very cool. What motivates you to help and assist nonprofits?
The whole thing with nonprofits, with a lot of companies, but especially with nonprofits, is to spread the word.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you don't know this nonprofit exists, or I've never heard of this one, or, you need to spread the word. And that's what helps, being that you're able to brand the photos. They're sent directly to the participants. And what do people do when they get a picture? They upload them to social media.
Sure.
So when they upload them to social media, all of a sudden they're like, hey, look, we're at this event for XYZ nonprofit, come and join us next time, or donate money, or this is a great cause, or whatever it might be. People love to post online. Socials are advertising. And so again, the nonprofits getting free publicity in a way, because their attendees who already are paying and contributing and everything to show up to this event are now also advertising this event. So it's a win-win for everybody, really.
Yeah. So what are some of the examples and highlights of some of the events that you've worked with specifically for nonprofits and how they've benefited from working with TSS?
I think just because with a lot of nonprofits, they need pictures to, when the event is yearly, they need them to advertise their event coming up.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a good way to say, oh, this is it from last year. I'd say more than half of our event photography is repeat customers. So they call us for their holiday party every year. They have a certain, boat parade that they do every year. They have a Christmas party every year. They have their big gala every year. We work with a lot of different nonprofits that are able to continuously book us at the beginning of the year. Okay, we have our 6 events we do. Let's get those all on the calendar
right away.
So it's a benefit to them as they're not going out and hiring a photographer. They're not then hiring a PR to come in, someone to do PR. They're not hiring, and sometimes they're able to get a sponsor to offset the cost totally. We do offer a discount to nonprofits, which is obviously a benefit. That's our donation, so to speak, for the event. And then sometimes if they have a specific sponsor or a specific company that wants to be their photography sponsor, they also could get their logo on the advertisement. And then it doesn't cost the nonprofit anything. They could actually, and saving the nonprofit the expense of photography is huge. I mean, they do have it in their budget. They do have, everyone has a photography budget or an advertising budget. But if they're able to get a sponsor to want to be a sponsor for a photo sponsor, then it allows them to save that money and allocate those funds somewhere else.
Right. It allows them to do more good wherever else it needs to happen. So that's actually why we created this podcast, because we really wanted to showcase businesses are working with the nonprofit space, give the nonprofits an opportunity to see how they can collaborate with the for-profit community. A lot of the times the nonprofits just talk to the other nonprofits, and it's like, what can we do as for-profits to get them the knowledge, the education that they need so they can thrive, they can grow, and they can do more things. Sometimes it's an introduction to another nonprofit, but sometimes it's an introduction to another company that could be, in your case, taking the photos, getting them the marketing material for next year's event. So that's very helpful.
And that it helps everyone grow. It helps the nonprofits meet people that aren't in the nonprofit sector. And it helps the attendees, they can be or cannot be in the nonprofit sector, and they might need photography for an event elsewhere. It's all about publicity. It's all about word of mouth. That's how we grow. I mean, we do some advertising, very little. We really grow by word of mouth. And I think you guys do too. I mean, everything is a lot of word of mouth.
It's definitely one thing that it does take time for word of mouth, because you have to build trust. You have to show the value. But once you're there, a whole new level. And it's like, okay, now they're talking like, hey, did you hear about Visuals by Momo and what the video they created for us? And then it grows like, hey, did you hear about TSS Photography and what they did at our event?
I use them, or I was at a party that you were at last week, or, so that's especially, it does so sort of with our schools and youth sports, but more with events. Schools and sports, when a principal or a director of a league goes to a different one, yes, maybe that helps somewhat. But really with the events, that's where people who go to networking events, go to nonprofit fundraising events, go to not just one. No, they go to multiple. Yeah,
they see you over and over again. Right. They see different things. It does make a huge difference. Yeah.
Right. And it's also, for another benefit for the nonprofits, is a lot of times when you have an event, a gala, something to that effect, is you want to give party favors, and you kind of do it in lieu of a party favor, or just give something else cheaper because you're getting a picture already. You could do a step and repeat. If they have a step and repeat, sometimes they'll make a balloon sculpture, sometimes they'll have a grand entrance. So you could do multiple photographers. So however many, depending on how many people are at your event, really depends on how many photographers you need. Because if you want someone stationary at the front for the entrance to take a photo of every single person or couple coming in, you still need someone inside taking
the actual event.
Yeah. Right.
So how many people do you have on your staff?
We have about 40 freelancers that work with us. Some work more than others. We're pretty seasonal, but we try to keep you with people we have on our event staff that work strictly just for events. We probably have 4 that are dedicated directly to events.
Okay. And then does that include all of your, staff that are in the office?
No, we have 6 full-time people too.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have 6 full-time, customer service and data entry and accounting and all that good stuff.
all the good departments and all everything that needs to happen.
And the sales, but we have people who go and do networking events just for us.
Oh.
So, I can't do it all. We belong to multiple chambers.
Yep.
We attend a lot of nonprofits. We do a lot of ribbon cuttings. We do a lot of stuff in the community because you do stuff with people like, and trust. So you have to be out in the community and people have to see you. Well, I'm one person, so I can't be at every event, and neither can you.
I literally try, and they're like, "Oh, I'm so glad to see you at the last event." I'm like, "I don't think I was there, but thank you, because now I was visible but not there." So sometimes that's a bonus, but yeah, You can only do so much. Like you can't be everywhere.
Right.
And that's one thing that I'm trying to expand in my own business is, all right, I need to add other people that can talk about Visuals by Momo.
It takes a
out in the
special
community.
person.
It does.
It really does. I mean, we have 6 full-time people and, 40, 50 freelancers, and I have one that loves to do it. But she's great. So I'm happy with that. So, I mean, we pretty much work from Vero Beach to the Keys and then over into Fort Myers and Naples area. So pretty much our office is in Fort Lauderdale. So anything our office in North, I try to go to, and anything our office in South, she tries to go to.
Perfect.
So if one of us is out of town, yes, obviously the other one could go, but it kind of takes the pressure off of one person going to everything.
Oh, 100%. I tried to get Momo to do some networking. You can't see him behind the camera, but he's like, no.
Yeah.
Not
he
gonna
falls
happen.
into the other people at my office that have been like, that's not going to happen.
I did get him to go to NPI for a little while. I think it was about 8 months, but
that's good.
that was a little challenging for him. Like it was just like, no, this isn't my space.
You know what? There's a million different networking groups out there.
There are.
And they all have their pluses and minuses. So you just have to find one that gels with what you do.
Yeah. And that's the most important thing. It sounds like the chamber is a really good resource
are really
for
good
you.
for us. We belong to 12 chambers.
12.
So we do 12. So
wow.
You can't, I mean, we have our favorites. I mean, obviously we all have our favorites with things, but I try to get to all of them at least once. But then we have some that we go to monthly all the time. Yeah. So it just depends on who gives back, who supports you.
There has to be a return on investment. And I think that has to do with anything. Right. Like, even for nonprofits, it's like, what am I getting? How is this going to help me benefit in the future? Is this going to be something that's capacity building? Is this going to help me build out more resources? What is going to happen? So I think it's very valuable to take that consideration. Like, all right, if I'm spending 6 hours a month at this chamber, right, because I want to try to be a part of it and, be there. Absolutely. Now, is it worth my time to stay there? So, yeah. I
mean, I'd say out of the 12, I'd say we have 5 that people call us all week. Oh, so-and-so in this chamber told me to call you, or they referred you. Those people are where we put our time first. We'll still go to all of them, but that's where we concentrate our time because that's where we're getting our return on investment.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So one of the next kind of topics I wanted to talk about is specifically, how do you balance the business goals with the mission-driven goals of the nonprofits in the collaboration space?
We want to help everybody. I mean, everyone, like, you go and you hear their cause and you're like, how can we help them? You can't help everyone, but you could help some people financially, some people with your services, some people with advertising, some people with word of mouth and talking about them, making people aware.
Sometimes it's strategy. I know I've sat down and just talked with like different nonprofits of like, hey, have you thought about doing this? And it was like this spark that changed their whole direction of like, oh, I didn't think about that. Let me see if I can get the board on board and then make some, different changes or different ideas happen. But I think that is really important to, offer it in different ways. Sometimes it's not money. Right. It can be in service.
You could volunteer. You could run a table at one of their, at a networking event that they might host, or a job seeking event that they might host, or donate giveaways to a holiday party, or I mean, there's so many things you can do. A lot of time it's time. Donate time is huge.
It is, because I mean, a lot of nonprofits are 1, maybe 2 full-time people, and then the rest are volunteers. So they're running on people's time, right? By that volunteer time, and they can't do it all. Just like we were just talking about, we can't be in every space, and so they can't be in every space. But that visibility is so huge. Yeah. So anything that we can do to assist in small little increments.
Well, I've been involved with quite a few different nonprofits on all different kinds of levels. Okay. And like we do a fundraiser at our office. So we'll match donations when we're out, we'll collect and we'll match donations, and we can send a check every month. That's, for instance, one of them. For a different nonprofit, it was for older kids getting into workforce that had disabilities. So we were able to help run mock interviews to help train. You could volunteer. You could help in anything. You just have to be willing to give. And it doesn't always mean money. It doesn't always even mean services. It means time.
What are some of some of your favorite nonprofits that you've had the opportunity to work with?
We do a lot with Children's Harbor. That's who we actually ask for donations, and we match donations that go to Children's Harbor. So we do it on a monthly basis to all of our sports and school leagues.
Awesome.
So there's a line on our order form that asks them if they'd like to donate to Children's Harbor. And so many times we're out on the field and people will say, well, what's that? And then we have a little placard that explains what Children's Harbor is, but we always go on and say it's a local organization right in your own backyard that helps the children. And they're like, wow, that's great. I never heard of them. Right. Sometimes they ask for information that they would like to volunteer. So it's getting the word out there. I've worked with Arc Broward.
Yeah.
So that's where we would do mock interviews for the students trying to get jobs. It's a great board that I used to be on. And
so you used to be on their board?
I was on their business advisory council.
Okay.
So I did that for a while. We also do some stuff with the Alzheimer's. We do some of their events.
Okay.
Their gala every year. And then a ton of stuff for the chambers that host other events. We've also done an event for children trafficking, an event that was to raise money against the trafficking of children and bring awareness to it. I mean, we do. I can't think of them all.
No, but
because they're like one-offs here and there. But we continuously work with Children's Harbor all the time. We do the Alzheimer's Gala every year.
Right.
We do some 5Ks that do a lot of raising money with 5Ks. I can't quite think of the names of the different ones we've done just offhand. But there's so many different kinds of events that happen, and a lot of them sometimes are done through the chambers. Oh, Rainbows of Tomorrow we've done, or Rainbows for Tomorrow, Rainbows something like that.
Yeah, I think it's Rainbow for Tomorrow.
We did an event of theirs, and I didn't even know what that was until I was part of the Coral Springs Chamber, and they were part of the Coral Springs Chamber, and then
Gotcha.
I'm like, oh, it works. It's just, and that's what you get from attending chamber meetings, is meeting all these people that you can help and you can connect with.
It's all the connections, yeah.
There's the foster care system, the SOS Village that's over in Coconut Creek. I mean, I never realized how many nonprofits there were. I mean, I wasn't really doing that. We were doing school pictures and events. And then once you start getting it, you're like, wow, there's really a lot of good nonprofits out there that need help, need money, need awareness.
Yeah, they do. They need the visibility. And I can definitely attest, like, I've had conversations with people. I'm like, how many nonprofits do you know? And they're like, I'm getting none, one or two. And when I hear none, that makes me cry, because it's like, there's a visibility issue. Like, what is happening? And if they know one or two, it's more likely the bigger ones, like Alzheimer's Association. Maybe they've done something
like American Breast Cancer,
or American Cancer Society or United Way. Like, those ones are the big, and they do have a marketing team inside there, so they actually give a little bit more visibility than a lot of the smaller ones, like the grassroots, small nonprofits running on 1-2 people.
Very difficult.
They're having the more challenge of getting their message out there, but sometimes that they are the ones that are making a massive impact in the local community, and that's really important because it's our backyard. Like, how do we help them? So
that was one thing that I've learned really quickly after working with nonprofits is, to me, they're all good, but there's two different kinds. You have kind of like the locally owned and operated, anything that's in your area. You got Children's Harbor in your backyard.
Right.
You have local things, or you have the big ones, but the big ones, they all need us, but they don't need us as much as the little ones need us. The little ones need to be grown and get bigger and be able to do more for people. I mean, you work a ton in the nonprofit area, but I just mentioned some that you may have not known of.
Yeah, there was a few that. So 100%. I'm still learning.
You're huge in that area.
Right.
So from someone that's not huge in that area, it's a huge learning curve.
I mean, we've done work for over 35 different nonprofits in the last 2 years, and that's amazing. But I would probably say most of, anybody in the community can't even name 35 different nonprofits. So, but yeah, there's hundreds and thousands more in our own backyard. I want to get introduced to. I want to try to see what I can do to help, or at least push them in the right direction. Maybe it's grant funding. Maybe it's a business plan. Maybe it's, getting more publicity with like photography at their event. Whatever it is, I want to be that resource and that connector that can go, I have solution for you. And that's one of the reasons that we started this podcast. It's like, let's talk about solutions. Let's figure out ways that they can collaborate and that they can grow.
Right.
So,
and it's hard when you try to put them all together, because I would assume they would each be like, if you had an event for all nonprofits, so then there's $100 to go around. Who's poaching for that $100? They all feel like they're in competition with each other instead of supporting each other and building them up.
Sometimes that happens, but sometimes it's what I've noticed at some all nonprofit events. It's just a place to go and see what other people are doing. It's not about trying to raise money. And that one I really love, because it's more like, okay, let's connection build, because maybe it's not about the money, but maybe it's something that they can offer that's a part of a program, or maybe it's not something that they offer and they are a bigger nonprofit and you're a smaller one, but you offer such a niche pillar for the community that they can add it on as an extra resource. And they can collaborate and share some of that grant money. There's a lot of different ways that things can happen. But sometimes they just need that door opened, because
absolutely,
we all get stuck in our own little world. It's like,
we know.
we gotta do what we know, and we keep going and we keep going. But it's like, okay, take a breath, think outside, and then, or ask for help. Because honestly, sometimes that is just the best way we can do it, is go like, Rachel, what can I do? Like, what resources do you have?
What am I missing?
What am I missing?
I feel like I should be doing one more thing.
Correct.
Like before, when we did only sports and schools, it didn't make sense. And we had COVID and we couldn't do that. We had to do something else. So we had to look outside the box.
And I think that's one of the benefits that a lot of nonprofits can look at as well, because once they do, maybe it is a connection with United Way, and they're having a whole different pool of resources that are now coming into your door.
And a lot of stuff like United Way, we do that. We do a lot of their stuff too. And they have different branches. So not only are you helping one, then they say, oh, you used us, we'll use you at the other branch. So now we're at 2 or 3 different branches of United Way. So stuff that has the next level up, some of those bigger platforms have multiple locations. So you're not just helping one, you're helping many.
Right. Yeah, it's very true. So the next one I really wanted to ask was, what do you think your franchise of TSS Photography is going to leave, like a legacy for helping in the nonprofit space? Because now what you're doing.
Just making it so you don't forget this event happened, or you don't, you make it to make sure that, if you had a job training event, or if you had a gala that everyone donated $5 at the door, and that event was able to raise money for X, Y, or Z, whatever they were raising money for. Holiday toy drives, where they're able to support kids of foster care or anyone who doesn't have the parents in order to help, or the Rainbows of Tomorrow, where the children are victims of a big event, something that happened to one of their parents or their loved one. It wasn't them specifically, but it happened to their family member. So there's so many different, you want them to remember everyone that's doing good for them. And through pictures, through documentation, you remember, oh, we were at this event where a clown painted my face, and there's a picture of it. Oh, what event was it? Oh, it says it on the bottom with the logos on it. It's when we were at X, Y, or Z event. They had a petting zoo. Look, we pet this animal. We got to play with these dogs, or whatever it is. Someone has, a carnival. Some of those kids don't get to go to carnivals and do stuff like that.
That's true.
Some of the general public, there's a carnival on the corner in some parking lot, their parents would take them. Well, the kids that live not with their parents don't have that opportunity. Right. So if you get to capture the images of that, and the kids or the foster parents or the association or the nonprofit that they're involved with have these pictures enjoying themselves, it allows them to remember. It's a visual image.
It's capturing the memories. And that's even one of the things that we try to do here at Visuals by Momo, is remind people, take out your phone, even if that's it, capture something and then keep it, because you never know when it's going to be needed. Because
absolutely
5-10 years from now, oh my gosh, my nonprofit's at this space, I need to create a documentary. Those pictures from TSS Photography, those clips that Visuals by Mo captured,
absolutely,
we still have them. Let's put them into making something that's going to be more impactful, more visibility.
And that's another thing, like One of the benefits of having TSS at your event and doing your pictures is that you're not on your personal phone. So many times you see these parents or whoever, not necessarily a parent, on their phone and not paying attention to what they're not present.
Correct.
You got to be present when you attend these things. So leave the photography to us. Let us take the pictures of you interacting with this animal, this person, this corporate person, a photo booth, whatever it might be. And we have you in the image enjoying yourself, not you taking the pictures and on your phone and not paying attention to what's going on.
I notice when I actually pick up my phone and I'm like recording, especially if it's longer than a minute. So I'm like literally recording it. I literally lose everything. And like I can go back to the video and rewatch it because I've captured it. But in the moment, I'm not present. I'm literally focused on holding the phone, or I'm focused on making sure I'm in the right angle. And I'm just like, I'm not there. And it, that's one of the things that I definitely agree with you 100%. Like, let other people go and capture it, because that gives you time to be at your event.
Right. One of my girlfriends a while ago said to me, slow down and enjoy where you are. She goes, we were literally driving down the street, but I was talking about what we were doing next. And she's like, enjoy what we're doing. She goes, you're worried about tomorrow. Enjoy where you are. Be present. And I'm like, oh, good point. Because I'm a planner, so I'm always
me too.
Looking to see what's next. Oh, tomorrow I have to do this. So on this weekend I have this, or I have this event coming up. But she's like, you got to be present. You're missing the action of what's going on around you because you're too worried about what tomorrow is.
True.
And that's what we're trying to get these people who are attending these events at especially at nonprofits, where it's for a cause. You're not just going to, Susie's birthday party. You're going to an event that's a cause to bring awareness to this nonprofit that is raising money to help X, Y, or Z.
100%. I would like to end with thanking you so much for coming on the episode. But I want to make sure that the audience knows how to get in touch with you. So how do they contact TSS Photography?
Best thing to do is to email. And my email address is Rachel, RACHEL, @TSS.photography.
So it's .photography.
Right. There is no .com, .org, or .net. It's just Rachel @TSS.photography.
Yeah, I missed that one day. So I was like,
if it bounces back, make sure it didn't actually add .photography. So
right. And your phone number?
954-649-3032 is my cell phone, and that's the best way to get a hold of me because I'm out on the road a lot. So you could text or email 954-649-3032. And
if you want to see any of the services that you offer, you could head to the website, which is also
tssphotography.com/SFLA for South Florida.
You say it one more time.
tssphotography.com/SFLA for South Florida.
So make sure that one does have the .com when you're on the website, but not the email.
You could also just Google U Sports or Event Photography South Florida and we'll pop up.
Yeah, you definitely you pop up really quickly. Yeah. So yeah, that's awesome. So again, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
We look forward to having you again.
Anytime.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you for joining me on this episode of Visualize. We hope that the inspiration and practical insights can help you foster stronger connections and meaningful change. Don't forget to subscribe, share the episode, and leave us a review. To learn more about Visuals by Momo and how we support collaboration and storytelling, visit visualsbymomo.com. A huge thank you to everyone out there listening. Until next time, remember, collaboration fuels change, and your connections can inspire the world.